Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of New Ideas Better HR. The guest that I have with me today is such an honor and privilege for me to host. He is somebody that I've had the pleasure of working with also and see him work his magic. He is the former CEO of Engro Foods, also the former CEO of PepsiCo International, and now a business consultant, an executive coach, and a mentor to many, many young people. So please welcome Mr. Sarfaraz Rehman. So Sarfaraz, thank you so much for joining us for this discussion today. We're privileged and honored to have you here with us. सबसे पहले what I want to start with is just your career. You've had such an illustrious career. You've been the CEO of some of the major organizations in Pakistan and now to a business consultant. Can you walk us through the journey?
Okay, I think, I have an outstanding weakness all my life. I've had it, I get bored. And that's sort of been the driving force behind everything in terms of movement, things what I've done. So I did fairly male-nice stuff when I started Unilever management training, and if you go to someone's place for dinner and they ask you, "Kya kar rahe ho?" So I would say management training, Unilever, and they would get up and shake my hand. It was like, a Jannat aa gayi already. Though it wasn't that way. I spent about 5 years in Unilever, and at the end of it, I felt I'd run out of steam. So I'd done Alhamdulillah very well, but I got tired. So I moved to GSK, and I just did the wrong thing because I walked into the merger, more or less. I think 3 weeks after my joining, whatever, हरे सुनहरे बाग को दिखा रहे थे, वो कहती आप ये हो जाएंगे, वो हो जाएंगे, बीच में लेट बन जाएंगे, ये सब हो जाएगा, वो सब खत्म हो गया. मर्जर हो गया, जॉब्स खत्म हो गई. I did the merger. I was involved with the merger as the merger controller, whatever you call it.
Right.
And it was very bloody and very messy. That's about the worst part of my career. I really felt the heat there, and it was very sad to see people fighting, politics, people being fired, despite being very, very good people. So then I'd moved off with a company called Jardine Matheson. They are Southeast Asia multinational, and they are in hospitality, they are in logistics, they are in shipping.
Right.
And I sort of set up the logistics company in the Middle East. And having done that, it was totally new, something new I hadn't done at all. I left accountancy by then. I then got hired, picked up by Pepsi, and eventually became head of this part of the PepsiCo business.
Right.
And spent about 6 years there. By then, it's 20 years of my career and totally run out of steam. PepsiCo, bad news in the sense you were traveling about 20 days a month. So, you don't realize it. These things are very sort of insidious, andar ghusi jati hain. And one day I just totally got exhausted. So I packed up, left Pepsi. I went off to work for about 16 months with a friend in the Middle East who I knew very well, a Saudi gentleman. I set up joint ventures in the Levant.
Right.
And that was a bit of fun. And that's part of the thing which sort of loosened my mind from structure in a sense. They're very big, or used to be. I don't know how big they are now. The Mohidib. So they used to own a big part of Savola, Walidun Talal's company, and they used to own a big part of the market, and then they wanted a consumer business. So that fitted in with my previous history. Isam was a personal friend, the owner, one of the owners. So I had a lot of fun there, but I knew it was temporary. And then when I came back to Pakistan for a while, Engro Foods happened.
Right.
And that sort of became like the defining part of my life, if one can say it in work terms. Engro Food happened, it became $1 billion company. It got sold to Friesland, and I left. Did I leave before you, or you left before me?
I think you left before me.
Yes. So I knew that I was on a 6-month leash by then. Right. You don't spend $1 billion or $500 million to buy 50% of a company and leave the older guys there. So I knew I would. And so I said I got tired by the end of that anyway. So I said,
Sarfaraz, what I want to understand is you worked with some of the largest organizations, but
mm-hmm.
why did you decide to take that leap? Engro Foods was essentially a startup. What excited you about that? Why did you come here?
Okay, when I came back to Pakistan after Pepsi and after the Mohidib thing, I actually didn't want to do any commercial work. I wanted to do CSR work, and I found I had been out of Karachi for about 15 years, and that my franchise was gone. I hardly knew anyone. It didn't matter, grammar school, friendships, everything. Everyone was either had forgotten you or had left for elsewhere in the world.
Right.
And so I sort of struggling for 3 or 4 months कि मैं करूँ कैसे. And then I met Asad, and Asad said, "Yeah, you're an idiot. No one will give you any lift. Here I've got this project. You can open up the rural areas and do the stuff you want, but like on a commerce basis. But here are people who will be educated and learning things and also earning. So you do it that way." And he was right. That's how it worked out, because farmers' income went up 16 times in 4 years. वो UNDP का program, 25,000 lady livestock workers started working.
So was the social element important to you? The social impact you were making?
It was. That's the way it started. I thought this is my route to that CSR thing. And then of course, I have this horrible habit of just getting very involved in what I'm doing. So somehow it took a life of its own, and it became like a family. You've seen that.
That's what I was going to get to.
People.
That's what I was going to get to. I want to understand. I worked at Engro Foods after working with Pepsi and ICI and some of those major organizations. The culture that I saw in EFL, Engro Foods, was very family oriented, very people centric, very gelled in. Was that deliberate? Was that something that you wanted to do and created?
So the first step was obviously the CSR element, but then there were other things like Pakistaniyat. I really floated that Pakistani thing. It wasn't me alone; it was the whole team. I mean, we all bought into it. कि Pakistan का नाम करना है. We have got to show that we can work something. Thing I've actually written about it in one of my blogs. I think making real organizations. उसके अंदर कि it's not just Pakistani. It was a Pakistan which you would have never seen somewhere. I as an 8-year-old, I used to live in PCHs on Sir Syed Road, and Tariq Road was a mile away. And my mother would give me 50 paisa at that time. This was mid to late 60s. Right. And I would go off at 2:30 in the afternoon and go and play pinball machines. 50 paisa used to go a long way. 25 pinball games it was. So, till like Maghrib time and come back alone. I didn't have a mobile phone, and my mother would never worry कि मुझे कुछ होएगा. Oh, it was the Pakistan which is connected, friendly. People used to help each other. Evenings में, I remember in Karachi, people used to go out in the evenings, and there was parks भरे हुए होते थे. It was a very different Pakistan. So Engro Foods was a bit of a encapsulation of that. Right. You've been there, so okay, everyone was connected with each other.
So it was deliberate. It was a concentrated effort to make it like that.
Bilkul. And to be the good thing was we found a lot of people who were like that, or maybe it is there in people, and once you inculcate it, it comes out. So there was a lot of friendships there. I still have it. My best. I'm connected even with the Unilever people from 5 years ago. But there are no friendships which are better than the Engro Foods ones.
And do you think while hiring, your concept in your mind was that I want to attract people like this because of the purpose you set for the company?
Okay, the one clear attribute which was sort of thought out and all of us used to look at is कि दिल बड़ा होना चाहिए, बंदा या बंदी का. If you know what I mean. I can't even explain it. Big heart doesn't get बीमार that दिल बड़ा होना encapsulates courage, it encapsulates generosity, and being happy for others, being together, all those things, and that can very easily come out in interviews. So I think all Babar, Shams, Ali. So there was a cover was You worked with Kamal?
Yes,
You
of
have,
course.
no?
Yes.
So Kamal was a absolute encapsulation of Dil Bada Hona Chahiye. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So Shubha, I'm sure she's recreating some of that in Pepsi also.
Right.
So there are a whole lot of us who were that way. And then therefore they hired downwards people of, of that ilk.
Similar
And I think
nature.
obviously, फिर बन जाता है ना.
कल्चर डेवलप हो जाता है. बट सरफराज, एक चीज आपने पाकिस्तानियत की बात की. आई वांट टू कम बैक टू दैट. When you work in organizations, every organization has a mission statement, they have a value statement, that is how they define themselves. However, वो कभी gain होते हुए नहीं देखा लोगों में. However, the purpose that you coined, which was Pakistaniyat, that purpose somehow seemed to resonate with the community, the whole foods environment as such, कि वो दिल से काम करते थे. How was that? How did you make that the driving force of the company?
Sincerity हर इंसान समझता है. अब छोटे से बच्चे को रोड पर, have you seen कभी-कभी वो beggars होते हैं? For some reason they will look at a person and they will go there. 6 लोग होंगे, 6 गाड़ियाँ होंगी, वो जाएंगे एक गाड़ी की तरफ. I think instinctively human beings understand sincerity. So if the whole system is actually sincere, then I think it works. People understand it and they work for it. So not me alone, the whole system bent over to try and accommodate the people. You've seen that. You remember जब वो मगरूब बंद किया था? So there were 80 people and we carried them for almost 1.5 years, a lot of them. And the system understands that.
Sarfaraz, the point is, आजकल हम younger generation को देखें, the main trend and theme that research and studies are telling us, people are looking for compassion in business. People are now again looking for the purpose in business. And somehow you knew that before these studies even came out and you were able to do that. Unfortunately, हमारी companies जो है वो बहुत इस वक्त people centric होती हैं as opposed to system or culture centric. We saw the changes that came about in the system, and when you were brought back again, we saw the rise of the system again. What do you think? Why do you think we aren't, as a country or as a nation, able to accept systems and just work with them, and we depend on people and leadership to lead us?
I think it's a colonial past. My own thoughts, and I might be wrong. I'm not an expert in this. I've traveled extensively in the rural areas. लोग जो है ना, उनकी अपनी आइडेंटिटी नहीं है. उनकी जो एक होता है ना, एक वकार, you're brought up to know what you are. I don't think it is there. यहाँ पे elite है, यहाँ पे गरीब हैं. Elite जो है are really a personification of the brown south, unfortunately. जब ऐसी दबी हुई सोसाइटी होगी ना, तो लोगों में सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं होगा, वो डरेंगे. तो फिर यही होता है कि डेमोगॉग्स उठ जाते हैं और ये पर्सनैलिटीज उठ जाती हैं. एंड देन वो सिस्टम फिर जैसे चेंज होता है, कोई बंदा बदलता है तो वो फिर सिस्टम चेंज हो जाता है.
But you don't. You're being very humble about this, because I think it has a lot to do with individual leadership styles also. They do have an impact on how a company or a country or any civilization rises or falls. We've seen it in history also with dynasties. We've seen it with companies. Leadership traits matter. What do you think was specific in you that you were able to carry Engro Foods to that level?
I just understood the system. Maybe because it was a self-created one to a certain extent. But I knew it's like you walk into a room and you see a web and you say, okay, this is a string I'm going to pull. I know this is the right one. The string in Engro Foods was always this feeling of we are a team and we can do this together. The moment someone starts saying I am bigger than you or everyone else, the system slowly starts unraveling. It can do it in a small circle in the supply chain department or the HR department, or it can happen at the CEO level, then it will spread right across.
Again, I think
That's
you're being too humble about this because you have led not just Engro Foods but also Pepsi. You've worked in GSK, like you said, with the mergers and everything, and we've seen you do it again and again. I personally believe it was your connection to people and your compassion that was able to drive the company, because when you respect a leader and you understand that they are working for your benefit is or a larger benefit of people, you tend to follow that leader also and you want to give it your all.
I understand that, but then it's I struggle to sort of take that as a personal thing. It's ये हर जगह होता है, समर कहीं कि आप किसी बंदे को देखते हुए बिहेव कर रहा है, वो इन पोजीशन ऑफ अथॉरिटी, सब लोग करते हैं. अब यूएस को देख लो, ये फॉर इंस्टेंस, आई फॉर द लाइफ ऑफ मी I could never imagine in the UK a person like Boris Johnson.
Right.
They are so system oriented. वो बिल्कुल, things have to be right. Behavior has to be right in the UK. I've lived there for 6 years. I know that population. And here's a person who is really very, very different. And you can see it unraveling. If you कभी BBC या CNN पर वो उनके रिपोर्टर्स की पार्लियामेंट के बाहर देखो इंटरव्यूज, पीछे से आवाजें आ रही हैं, गाली गलौज हो रहा है, बेल्स बज रही है. दिस इज नॉट द यूके.
Yes.
बट इट्स हैपनिंग. तो आई थिंक ये तो ह्यूमन है कि जैसे आप देखेंगे पीपल ऑन अथॉरिटी, उस तरीके से आप बिहेव करेंगे. यूएस इज turning that way, UK is turning that way, India unfortunately has so that element I understand, but I'm not the one who's doing it. I'm behaving as myself. I've always behaved as myself.
Okay.
I can tell you, I have so many times, even in my Pepsi years, I've traveled economy class when I could have traveled first class or business class, just because I know I do not want to develop that habit.
Right.
And
better than others.
There were people I know who used to be really embarrassed, who were junior to me, who would be traveling in business class, and they would see me
not giving up their business class ticket regardless.
Yeah, and it's important because once I left Engro Foods, all that disappeared.
Yeah.
And I haven't found, life has gone on. I'm not a CEO. I'm just a human being, Sarfaraz Rehman. तो वो ठीक है, 15-18 साल के लिए वो कपड़े पहन लिए, वो अब back to normal clothes,
I want to talk about leadership a little bit. I know with multinationals तो होता है, even if you're leading a country or a setup, you still have leadership above you that you have to answer back to. You do have another very huge team that you are responsible for as well. Same with Engro Foods, you had a corporate setup to answer back to about numbers, profitability, all of that. How did you manage to create that buffer and absorb everything and then pass it on down to your team?
Okay, I think the second stint was much easier in that sense, because Ali was not as tuned into Engro as Asad was. So he sort of followed the route I set, and he backed me. Asad was much more demanding. He wanted it in a certain way, and that unfortunately included profitability, which has never been my focus. I'll be truthful. I've always said it's a byproduct. कहीं लोग खुश होंगे, कहीं सब चीजें सही हो रहेंगी, प्रॉफिट आ जाएगी. And so Asad wanted a certain way. Had it not, luckily we were well ahead of all our plans. The business plan was like 11 billion and we ended up at 24 after 5 years.
बिल्कुल, it was a magical success story.
हाँ, तो वो उस वजह से Asad never really got on that hobby horse of his कि we must passionately create profit for the shareholder.
Right.
He always got that. I was lucky in that way. कि नहीं होता है तो I can tell you there would have been a lot of battles. I would have probably been told to shift and go off. I think.
But your second stint at Engro Foods was like that. I think there was a lot of pressure in terms of profitability numbers, redundancies, everything.
Yeah, for 18 months it was really bad.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I walked in, I thought company band ho jayegi, because it was just a disaster thing. The milk collection had folded, the sales had folded, and And for about 2 weeks, actually, I was in shock, you know. I was in,
So that's why I asked this question, because I was there to witness this, and I don't think as a team or as a company that pressure was felt, which probably you were feeling.
I was feeling that pressure, but I've never relayed the pressure down. I just haven't. And to be truthful, because I also used to meditate, I've stopped in the last 2-3 years. I guess kam zarurat hogi because of corporates not being in my life anymore. But I used to meditate, and that used to help.
Right. So again, the emphasis that we see today's generation on wellness, it is something that actually works. You're trying to tell us.
Yeah, it does, because I can tell you, if you really take the stress, फिर लोगों को heart attacks होते हैं, you know, or they may spoil other people's lives.
Right.
Look at this way: if I lost my temper openly, I can promise you 5,000-7,000 people would know about it.
That's true.
And they would feel that this guy is not in control.
Right.
So there have been times when I've sort of given someone a rough time, but never in more than, 10-12 log की meeting हुए तो, I've told someone off. I try and even avoid that, and that goes back to my father, who taught me long ago when I was a kid. किसी को कहीं कुछ कहो बुरा तो अलग ले जाके कहो, जिस हद तक हो सके. So and because वो हर बंदे की self respect है. So
that's amazing to hear, because ये बहुत common, you see leadership reacting in ways, because obviously pressure होता है and people don't know how to handle their emotions well. So that's a lesson there. Sarfaraz, I want to get to capitalism a little bit. The world is now moving towards capitalism. वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता it's crept into Pakistani society also. We as a society generally were very रख रखाव, people driven, निकालने नहीं है, जरा compassion है, हालात family के खराब होंगे. All of those things played in our minds before. But now I see organizations becoming very ruthless because of capitalism, I believe. What's your take on it? What do you see कि क्या shift आया है during your career also?
Well, when I started doing Lever, I hadn't heard of anyone being turned out. Not even if they were performing badly. वो बुरा भी कर रहे होते थे ना, उसके ही छुपा
एडजस्ट कर देते थे कहीं.
गोरे भी आते थे जो कहते थे कि इसको छुपा के रखो. हाँ. And then of course now, and I told you about the Engro Foods thing, जो मबरूक की जो टीम थी उसको हमने बचा के रखा. But it's going away, and it's a this is a story I tell in all my environment. I've been involved with the environment.
Yes.
It goes with that. Human beings, somewhere 250 years ago, got the sense or smell of consumerism, which then has turned back into, really harsh usage of the environment. We are overliving. I think the last estimate said we are living at 3.26 when the world is sustainable at 1. And that in 48 years between 1960 and 2008, we had burned 400 million years of Earth's resources. And in the next 42 years, till 2050, we'll burn 1 billion years. So we haven't got those resources. Somewhere the Earth is going to stop. So I hope before it stops, people get off this. ये जो है ना, ये नहीं रहेगा. It's not sustainable. So जो कह रहे हैं ना, लोगों को निकाल देते हैं, ये तो होता रहे maybe, but the world will not be able to function like that. So by the year 2050, we are going to have 1 billion employed people. We'll have 3 billion self-employed people. We'll have 6 billion unemployed.
Wow.
It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Something will happen. People will come on the road, marpeet karenge. So my own thought is, through the 200 years, last 200 years, the speed of change has been huge. It's never happened in human society. So, and human beings have not caught up socially with that. So they are experimenting. I think somewhere along the line, in the next 20-25 years, corporates will disappear. The stock exchanges will change. You will get a more livable society where
I was going
government
to
should
ask
take.
you this, Sarfraz, because you work with environment a lot. I know water scarcity pe you've been very, very involved, and now that you're talking about the changes that we will experience in the future, as per your understanding, organizations का क्या होगा? What will happen? मतलब they will disappear, but how will they disappear? What do we see for people? What will happen?
देखिए, this is actually not very new in human society. 100 years ago, stock exchanges didn't exist. Stock exchange आया, shareholders की direct ownership change होगी. Now you're sort of living in the background. So what is your desire? Why do you own that share? It just amounts to one thing. It amounts to profitability.
Money.
That profitability, हाँ, तो money. अब आपको 100 मिल गया इस साल. अगले साल आपकी natural desire होगा कि 105 मिले, 110 मिले. This is what's been happening.
Right.
Somewhere that stock exchange connection will go because it's not livable. The world will collapse. So if that's going to happen, I think it's going to be something like the China model, but without the growth factors, because I think human beings will realize they will be forced rather than realize. They're realizing to now. You can see it, the extinction rebellion or this shuru ho gaya. People are realizing it, but they will be forced to go down that path. You know where I'm sitting, 50 years from now, there will be water.
Yeah.
And it's a reality. People don't understand.
Why aren't companies understanding this? Why aren't we changing the way we work, the way we consume water or our resources? Plastic के खिलाफ इतनी movement आ गई है, yet we see वही bottle plastic drinks हमें मिल रही हैं. We aren't changing. We are aware, but we aren't changing. What's the solution to this?
Because I think human beings change नहीं करना चाहते हैं if they can help it. You know, आदत होती है. अब आप खुद सोचो, you know, like the typical जो हम we used to encounter in the business. दूध वाले के पास फैमिली जाती थी. They even know कि वो दूध वाला जो है खराब कर रहा है दूध, but they would still buy it from, you know.
Yeah.
वो आदतें बड़ी मुश्किल से था. आदत उस वक्त जाएगी जब कोई आपके सर पर बैठ के फोर्स करेगा. 1-2-4% ऐसे होंगे जो खुद चेंज कर लेंगे, मजाक करनी. It's going to be forced on you. It's already beginning to happen. Look at the अभी जापान में टाइफून आया, hurricanes इतने सारे आ रहे हैं. This ice is melting. It's going to be forced on you. There's just no answer to it. होना है ये.
Maybe there is an answer to it. You work with a lot of young people, Sarfaraz. I know you've been involved with some of those seed programs. You've also worked with, you mentor young students. You think they will bring this change in the workplace? Are they conscious? Are they aware?
So, आप देखो, at the moment, the star environmentalist in the world is a 16-year-old girl.
Yes.
Right? Out of Sweden, who didn't have to do it because she was well off. She could have lived her life. So consciousness आएगी young से, I think so. I go and talk at IBA. I've spoken at dumps in the past. A lot of these universities. Some corporates also. उस दिन मैंने E&I में बात की थी.
Right.
The understanding on the people is beginning to happen, and the दो fears मैंने देखे. एक देखें from people who have young kids. जैसे कि यार हमारे बच्चों का क्या होगा. I've seen a lot of younger people decide not to have kids. By the way,
I've also experienced that. Yes, a lot of people we don't need more people in this world.
Yeah, so एक तो वहाँ से आ रहा है, और एक जो आ रहा है ना, it's that 12, 14, 15-year-old generation who's now growing up, and they understand this. They understand कि यार ये दुनिया बदल गई है. उन्होंने वो नहीं देखी है दुनिया जिसमें पेट्रोल दबा करके इस्तेमाल करो, गैस दबा के इस्तेमाल करो, पानी दबा के. They are seeing shortages and they are seeing the damage. तो वो ये लोग जो है ना, ये ज्यादा बदलेंगे. The whole question is, can it be done in time?
Right.
Conventional theory is saying that we have already shot the ball and the damage has been done. अब damage limitation हो सकता है. But I've always been optimist. I feel कि यार कोई ना कोई टेक्नोलॉजी ये लोग ढूंढ लेंगे कि कार्बन को किसी तरीके से कंट्रोल कर लेंगे जरा सा. I hope so, because otherwise तुम्हारे जो बच्चे हैं वो बड़ी मुश्किल से दुनिया देखेंगे.
बिल्कुल. And unfortunately, even while understanding all of this, I don't know, I can't, मैं 10 चीजें भी नहीं गिन सकती अपने हाथ पे, the changes that I would have made to my lifestyle to make it better. So yes, वो ऊपर से पड़ेगा ही तो हम करेंगे, I suppose.
It's more
सरफराज
than एक सेकंड बस
जी
ऊपर से नहीं सिर्फ क्योंकि like Pakistan is 0.24 of the carbonization in the world, 4%. Next door India is 16%, China is 26, USA is 25. So हम तो कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते. We can make it zero carbon, we will have hardly any effect.
You make it
If it's
sound
a big
very
guy,
scary. तो big guys कब करेंगे? And are the big organizations in Pakistan ready to take this challenge on? Are we doing something? Are they equipping themselves for this change, this new generation? What's needed to be done?
I think there's only one victory to be had. If the oil and gas companies stop their campaigning and labeling, which is happening. अभी Guardian ने 3 दिन पहले रिपोर्ट दी है कि they have known since the 60s कि ये damage हो रहा है.
Right.
By the way, they have proof now that some of the oil and gas companies knew in the 60s that they are heating up the world. That's
But they didn't
the same
realize.
cigarette story. तो वो कहीं रोक देना and they are responsible. वो 20 उन्होंने लिया है. Saudi Aramco being number 1 and then the others. Chevron है, Exxon है और सब. They like responsible, if I remember rightly, for 2/3 of the carbonization of the world. तो वो अभी तक कैंपेन कर रही हैं. They're doing it in a very nice way. क्या नहीं हम कम पेट्रोल इस्तेमाल करो but pro choice रहो. The same sort of cigarette thing. और हम sustainability लाएंगे, so on and so forth.
But I
think
that's
a victory to be done.
I think Sarfaraz, आपने कहा 60s से information है. Why organizations aren't bothered about this or advertising this, or even the big companies changing anything about it, is capitalism, profitability, पैसा मिल रहा है. And I don't know, as long as our governments keep backing them up, कितना हम when will this end? So इसका भी I think a lot has to do with your leadership then.
Yeah, it does. And unfortunately, the one big defeat in all this is that the US walked out of the Paris Accord. Because that has really set things back. वो वापस आ जाए ना, so then this was moving at a big pace. But I tell you what's going to happen. I think public opinion will drive it now, even in the US, because you can see it changing. You know, there's extinction rebellion. People are willing to get arrested and go into jail. But that's a slower change. Yeah, I agree. So it will happen through the parliament, I think. I think next 5 years you'll probably see a lot of young people who are campaigning on this and being in the green revolution, so to say. As I said, I'm not certain what that damage can be recovered.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
So Sarfaraz, सबसे जो interesting मुझे बात लगी when I approached you initially to have this chat with me, I remember you telling me what I'm doing is completely useless because of 3D printing and AI. In the future, all of this is going to be redundant and employee does not matter in the long run. Mm-hmm. Why did you say that? I want to touch on this a little bit because it's very scary to hear that. Also, I'm laughing right now, but it is a scary thought. What will happen to the future of work?
Okay, I recently the Institute of Chartered Accountants, they had the students convention, South Ka. So there were about 500, 600 students and all late teens, early 20s. So they asked me कि क्या बोलना है, तो मैंने इसी के ऊपर बात किया. तो मैंने कहा था कि यार, how are you going to make your career in a changing world? What's happening is because of artificial intelligence. So I'll give you one classic, two examples. One, the Go Master. I don't know if you know the game Go. No, I don't. Which is like millions of combinations. Okay. Computers have never been able to play the Go game against a human being. Okay. So year before last, the Go Master, who's the world champion, lost to a computer for the first time. So that meant, and the Go Master said, the computer was making new combinations which I had never even known. So it's learning on its own. Yeah, it was learning on its own. So that's one. Then the other one was Watson, which is the IBM artificial intelligence thing. There were 3 biotech doctors who were given a problem, and for 3 days they couldn't resolve it. Then they gave it to Watson, and Watson gave the answer in a minute. Okay. So what's happening is artificial intelligence is causing computers to think beyond the box as human beings used to. Except that the speed and process of thinking is much quicker and much more organized. Human beings are more chaotic. They're human beings. Emotions हैं ये सभी वो artificial intelligence emotion नहीं वो तो work कर रहा है. So they will eventually anything which can be put through a semblance of structure, the computers will beat us.
So our doctors, our technicians, our factory workers, a lot of our strategists.
No, that's somewhere else. No, it will be the HR recruitment person.
Okay, me.
who will be given a parameter and will analyze a person in an interview and say this person does not fit that parameter much more accurately than you and I could do it.
Science aa gayi na, jahan scientifically you come up with a method to.
Yeah. No, he will, for instance, monitor the eye pupils, things like that. And say, yaar, ye to ghabra rahe. We might not be able to see it, but ye person darta hai. You know, so isko nahi hire karo. That sort of thing. So that's the sort of thing. They're saying, like, for instance, 70% of the world's auditors will go. Now that is a very
big number.
It's a real judgmental thing. But artificial intelligence will do that. So ek to yahan par. The second one is the 3D printing. Now that is all the work you described. Factory workers, the routine guys, all that. Because the 3D guys, you know, they some time ago they built a 6-story building in China in 19 days. The first 3D printer to do that.
Wow.
19 दिन में बना दिया 6 स्टोरी की. अभी तो ये early stage है, वो तो बहुत तेजी से बनाएंगे. They're saying doctors, surgeons won't be required because you know the 3D robotic arms and all will do the work. They will replace human parts by the way. That's the other thing which will happen.
The parts, so, donors नहीं चाहिए.
Exactly. तो अच्छा तो ये तो हो रहा है. इसकी एक और भी प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. Our lifespan will go expand. You know, they're saying we could be living till 120 or 150 eventually.
Because of all the technological advancements.
अच्छा इसका ये कि फिर वो कहते हैं कि the lifespan of work will probably go from 25 to 95 or something like that. So I don't know what's going to happen.
But what will we do अगर हम 125 की हो भी जाए लेकिन काम तो करने को कुछ होगा नहीं, तो what will we be doing?
So you know Jean-Luc Picard. Have you heard the name?
No, I haven't.
Okay, this is the Star Trek Next Generation.
Okay.
The captain, the
I'm
guy.
I'm not a Star Trek follower.
Acha, the captain, the guy who was also in X-Men. The
bald guy, professor.
So he was a captain, Jean-Luc Picard, and they said to him, "What do human beings do? Someone who came from the 21st century and come through to the 24th century." So he said, in the 24th century, human beings do not work. They just improve themselves.
Okay.
So we'll be all in the business of improving ourselves.
So maybe we'll see a better society then.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the problem is we have lived a very different lifestyle. I've worked for 33 years in corporates, and then last 4 years I've been sort of fishing around and doing consultancy, coaching, public speaking. I stayed busy. I need to be busy. A kid growing up in that era will probably be trained not to be busy, but to be thinking and doing interesting work which has nothing to do with earning money.
Right.
That's the only way it will work. Otherwise, लोग रोड पर निकल आएंगे ना, फटे करेंगे, मारपीट. So
I think we're moving towards that also. I think we're moving towards that. A lot of मैं पहले भी किसी से बात कर रही थी. The whole concept of wellness, mindful thinking, all of that is all about, you know, being more collaborative, understanding emotions, understanding human beings. So maybe the work now is shifting towards that more or less.
Maybe. Yeah, you could be right. Maybe.
So Sarfaraz, I just want to end with, I want to understand what are the questions you're asking yourself these days? What are the big things on your mind?
Okay, now I'll go on my spiritual religious side a little bit.
Please do.
There is a hadith of the Prophet, which very few will talk about. Where the Prophet said the average age of my ummah is 60 years.
Acha.
So I crossed that last year.
Oh no, that's that's a very bad thought to be thinking about that. Like,
So
like you said,
it's amazing.
lifespan is changing.
I found that it was a great relief. So I was thinking about it, I said, so my it's like near the ending of a race. You can see the end line. So there's relief and you say, okay, I've done my bit. Now, for me, I'm living in a sort of a college life, which is like an adventure. I don't really feel responsibility. I do. I mean, I talk to people. Even today, there was a young kid who had come in, he needed advice, so I spent a couple of hours with him, helping him out. I do that, but it's not anymore from a sense of obligation or duty. I'm just doing it because I just want to. So it's like going back to university. I feel very free.
That's a brilliant way to be. I think just experiencing that freedom, and like you said, आपने जो बात किया, very few people experience that. You said, I feel a lot of relief. I don't think anybody who thinks of death thinks of relief. वो आपको होता है, have I done enough? Have I served my purpose? Have I been able to please the higher purpose? But अगर relief feel करता है, that's a very good state of being.
Alhamdulillah, though I don't know what will happen once I go into the grave.
Inshallah, let's not talk about such morbid things at all. Okay, so that's one thought. I know the other thought on your mind has been environment for a very long time, and I know you're working towards that a lot. Can you share with us what all you've been doing for that?
Okay, so I got very lucky in the days when Algo didn't know that the environment was a problem. I had a class fellow, Simi Kamal, who was a foremost geologist in Pakistan.
Okay.
So we grew up together, and then going back to the mid-90s, one day I was abroad and came back for holiday, and she came to see me and said, you're a useless character. पढ़े लिखो, मैं तुम्हें नहीं मालूम कि दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है. तो मैंने कहा क्या हो रहा है? She explained what's happening. As I didn't know then, ये हो रहा है. This is 94 or 95.
Right.
And Al Gore did his movie in 2006 when suddenly it became an international topic. So in 97 we started working together, and she got maybe 5 or 6 of our class fellows together, and we made Hisar Foundation. And we started lobbying about this. At that time, I can tell you, I've been to places, I won't name, there's some senior executives in Pakistan still, working still, who used to laugh. You say, kaisi baatein karo, pagal ho to pani khatam ho jayega. So I used to go to universities and talk about it, to corporates and talk about it. And people would laugh. So, but ये हुआ है कि पिछले 5 साल में I actually, wherever I go and talk about it, people listen. And you will be surprised, some are the most educated people, and this is not true only for Pakistan, it's the world. You explain to them the science behind this, and they know zero about it. So very simply, the world lives in a balance of 14.6 degree average temperature, centigrade temperature. Anything an iota above that or below that, the world will start reacting. Nature will start reacting. We are now at about 15.6.
Oh my
and
God.
We are going towards 16.6 and then maybe much more. We bring that temperature down by that 1 degree and the world will go back to being normal. Trees will grow back, environment will become okay, carbon dioxide will come down. I was taught in my childhood carbon dioxide is 0.03%.
Right.
Today it's 0.04% already. So this textbooks should have changed. 1/3 अभी पिछले 50 साल में बढ़ and it will spoil the environment. It will spoil life. As simple as that. By the way, the scientists are saying the 6th mass extinction event has started. Actual scientists, all of them are saying it has started.
But the problem is they're not saying it on TV, they're not saying it loud enough, they're not getting the right coverage to say all these things. That's why I think we generally are so unaware. If somebody is not in our circle talking about this, we would not know?
So I spend a lot of time talking about it. It's definitely in my own lifestyle. I used to in the old days do it also on an international forum. I had a mentor, John Bristow, who's dead now. He used to be Obama's climate czar between 2009 and 12. He was also the head of the environmental department for Harvard.
Okay.
So unfortunately, he got cancer and he died a couple of years ago. So he taught me a lot of stuff. A brilliant guy who knew his stuff, obviously. If he's going to be teaching in Harvard, he would know it.
I can imagine.
A lot of my learning is, well, all of it is acquired because I wasn't taught this. I'm a CA by qualification. So, but there's a science to it. And I can tell you there's not a single scientist today in the world who doesn't believe it. It's a different matter that there are science lobby scientists who, because of various reasons, might be spouting something else. So, because it's very logical what's happening. Everyone knows it.
Everyone, I guess, knows that that kind of awareness is there now.
I can tell you, people like Ali Ansari, for instance, is now in a environmental group trying to influence national agenda on this. So there are a lot of other people who have joined it.
I certainly hope that you are able to do something at a national level on this. And honestly, more power to you. The sort of projects that you have taken on is truly remarkable. So honored to have had a chance to see you also talk about this, actively be involved in such things. Really, it's been such a privilege. Thank you so much, Sarfaraz. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Samar. For me, Engro Foods has always been family. So
I know
all the people who I've worked with in Engro Foods, especially, they are. So I just hope that what you're doing, it is successful. It gives you whatever satisfaction you're looking for.
Thank you so much.
Hope your children see a much better world.
I hope so too, inshallah. Thank you so much.